Okay, this is the end of a session on Friday afternoon with Johannes Zigrind about Psalms and co-counseling. So I wonder, and there was something in the sharing, Richard, which really I took note of it and I actually wrote it down word by word. And it was that for me, God is in between the I and the you.
Yes,
in the connection, I and the thou. Yes, I like the thou as well. In the connection. And so when I am holding something in myself, projection or blaming or something, against or for the other, then I lose connection. So I lose God. It's so beautiful. And this is how I, many times, yeah. So anyway, my question would be like, in relation to your own co-counseling practice, a session or a workshop like this, how do the two things relate?
They relate. It's easy because I don't have an image of God as a thing out there. Mm-hmm. It's very much that space, that thing that we call love. It's or as my sister says, it's good. Put an extra O in and make it good. It is the ability for my soul to touch another's and to realize that really there is no difference, there is no separation, that our language is a language of separation because we put labels on things, and so that confuses. But this psalm talks about light up my eyes. How long shall my enemy exalt over me? My enemy is the one when I see my projections out there. That's my enemy. That keeps me from this love that I call God.
The other day we were sitting out there at a table conversation in between sessions or workshops, and we were talking about living systems, and you come from a scientific background. Teach. I think it's an interesting combination, of being deeply interested in science, biology, as you said, and the shift you experienced when you came across or started to realize more of the interconnectedness in science, and your relationship with children or kids you teach, and co-counseling. Somehow I would like you to bring the three together, because I'm sure you can. And
it's exactly what I've been saying. It's as soon as we label things, a tree is a tree and a bird is a bird, then they're separate objects. And we can do all sorts of studies about how they interact. But we forget that they're the same. They are the stuff of life. They are, and neither exists without the other.
That's right.
And the border we put around tree and call it tree is artificial. Because in fact, the tree contains within it so much other life. And if you took all that out, it would not be a tree anymore. Mm-hmm. But what is all this other life that is within it? Bacteria and fungi and all sorts of things. So, and the bird too, it's full of bacteria and fungi, and there's this unifying thing, and it's exactly the same between the I and the thou. There is the the separation is artificial and unhelpful. It's unhelpful in so many ways, because if I do cut off and say, this is me and that's you, then whatever happens to you is unimportant because I'm over here. But in fact, whatever happens to you, to you, intimately affects you. Because we are just the same. You cannot have a conflict in one part of the world that doesn't touch the whole world.
Absolutely. And I think, thinking of all the CCIs, I think this is the CCI the first time, maybe because of the obvious conflict we are so close experiencing here in Europe, in the Ukraine and in Israel, Gaza, that it is more to me in the consciousness of all the people who have come to the CCI than before. There is a lot more talk about it and a lot more feeling around it. So it's not just a rational kind of thinking, but a lot more feeling around it. And it's interesting you express this, because in the morning I went to the diversity workshop, of the honoring difference, and we were dealing and working with how we experience the victim and the perpetrator role, and in us, both roles in different ways, and seemingly not so important issues or actions or words just can stay with us for so long, and then we don't talk about colors and races and all the other kind of differences. And that's exactly the same, that all cuts off us from this kind of unique interconnectedness. Yeah, thank you. Now, I went up to you at another occasion when you were singing the Maori song. You were kind of inviting all of us into the open circle with this Maori song. And I just walked in there, and I have some experience with the Maoris. I was there in 95. And I don't think I attacked you, but I wanted to express my sadness, which came on me, This is part of this thing we are talking about. And I also felt a coming anger, and I shared that in the morning session as well, in the diversity, that the reason why I am there, because I'm experiencing myself developing an anger towards the Western culture, having experienced and seen so much pain and hurt that has caused in the world, which I was not aware of for a long time. But I remember the first time, it was 92, I went to a Canadian Indian reservation camp, and my heart just fall into pieces. And then Maori homes, I went on the Northern Island, or Southern Island, which one? Further up in Auckland. And there as well, I felt similarities. And I must admit, I think it is because in Central Europe, I saw similar areas in Romania and nowadays in Hungary as well. So there is something around this oppression. But the reason why I'm bringing it up, because you brought the two things so beautifully together. And I really would love you to say a few words about that. How the Maoris found their identity in the land. And in that sense, how you, from the European, Western, English background, found a new identity in New Zealand. And it sounded to me that there is a lovely harmonizing cohesion now developing.
And I have heard it said that New Zealand made Maori. Before that, they were different because they had come from a different land, a different land.
Right.
And so in arriving in New Zealand, they learned what the land could teach them, and had a dramatic impact on the land. And when the white people came, they were initially welcomed by Maori, very open. And then they were challenged by Maori because the white people were starting betraying this welcome, and there was tremendous conflict. And yet always Maori have held that hand of of welcome and sharing this land, and all along the way have been betrayed by white governments, and really, although that still exists, the pain of it is certainly still exists. There is retribution. There is reparation is made, gradually is being made, and there are many settlements that have been made, and many apologies made. Many land has been returned, and then has been given back to the people of New Zealand by Māori freely. So the relationship is slowly healing. But also, I spoke about what happens on a marae when Manuhiri visitors come to the marae. The tangata whenua call them and challenge them, basically to say, if come in peace, and if you don't, there will be us. You'll have to deal with us. And after the two groups have spoken and listened to each other, then there is a ceremony of the hongi and the sharing of the breath of life. And from that point on, the visitors are no longer visitors, they are tangata whenua, they are people of that land as well.
What's your experience, Richard, about, you mentioned there are about 100 co-councillors in New Zealand. Do you think that co-counselling of that group, which you belong to as a community, has co-counselling maybe changed the attitude of those people to the land? Is it perceivable, or, because it used to be a conflicting area in that sense. I don't know, it's just an assumption I'm asking. Or not in that realm, no.
Yeah, I don't know really.
Right, okay.
That's the question.
But I was just wondering, because on the other hand, you are really putting a lot of effort now to put on CCI.
Yeah.
And one could say, the Americans say CCI USA, the Europeans say CCI Europe, you say CCI New Zealand. But it's... Sorry?
Aotearoa, New Zealand.
That's right. And at the same time, I am having the feeling that actually there is an opportunity there that people from globally go. I don't know, there is an absolute open invitation for everyone just to go there. What is it?
I think that that there's potentially a model in New Zealand. By no means is it a perfect model. But some people have seen how it's possible for people from all cultures to just sit and talk in a very co-counselling way without it being co-counselling. It's just because that's what Māori tend to do when they're sitting together in the evening. They talk and listen.
Have you ever had a CCI in these Māori community buildings?
No, we haven't.
No. I was just thinking that could be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting to be invited to do that. Although the place where we're having this CCI is it's owned and managed by the local iwi.
All right, that's lovely.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
It's not actually a marae.
Right, but that's one of my desires, that the CCIs start to go consciously, as an event in places where actually our input is needed. Input in our presence, of bringing in life, diversity, and the finances also for the local people, not for some, kind of larger kind of global establishment or something. So that's lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.